going on, Jerome's? So, yes, there is a debate right now between Sling and Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. And, of course, yes, there's a lot of things that go into it. Number one, JJ McCarthy, top 10 pick, highest drafted quarterback in Vikings franchise history. And, of course, it's like a kid on Christmas. But you unwrap your present. That was the draft night, and you just have to, look at it for, a year. You're just like, it's G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. I mean, come on. I want it now. But the whole thing about it is that, yes, Sling and Sam Darnold was brought in to be a solid, competent bridge quarterback. And, Kevin O'Connell did confirm that he will be that guy to begin training camp. Now, where he begins, does that mean that's where he's going to end? And I do think that, it's unlikely, but I think it is possible that J.J. McCarthy could have a meteoric rise in training camp and take over that number one spot to start the season. Now, he has to be so much better than Sam Darnold that it forces the coach's hand, because I truly believe that Kevin O'Connell's plan for this year, no matter what, is to start off with Sam Darnold. Now, will Darnold retain that job throughout the season? We shall see. But Kevin Seifert, who's not Carl Gerbschmidt, did up a great piece with some pull quotes from media availability on Wednesday. Sam Darnold will continue as the Vikings lead quarterback when training camp opens next month. Coach Kevin O'Connell said Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. O'Connell stopped short of projecting anything beyond that, saying he plans for a competitive training camp at many positions. The Vikings have three other quarterbacks on the rooster: McCarthy, Mullins, and Jaron Hall. Now, I do think it comes down to Darnold and McCarthy. There is an apocalypse scenario where Darnold and McCarthy are just both booty, and then Nick Mullins is your week one starter against the Giants. It's just all right, fine. But all right. Quote, we haven't had to put out a depth chart or anything like that, O'Connell said. But yeah, I would say Sam would be the guy I would look to based upon the spring he's had and really where he's at in his career and his quarterback journey and what he's been able to do coming in and hitting the ground running and taking advantage of a competitive situation, end quote. So, of course, O'Connell is always hedging. He just can't say, yeah, he's our guy. But you did bring in Darnold, 1 year, $10 million deal to be that bridge quarterback. You ain't paying him $10 million to be a backup. That's for sure. But also, I do believe that it will be a open competition. Is it like a 70-30 competition where Darnold is 70% favorite? Yeah. But, of course, if you've ever played poker, 70% favorites lose all the time. But, yeah, I do think that Darnold does have the tools around him to succeed. And also, I think that Kevin O'Connell is firmly committed to that plan to redshirt J.J. McCarthy, work on his mechanics, work on him in the film room, and make sure that he completely digests that entire playbook right away. It continues, quote, I've total understanding that we only control so much in this whole thing, and that's the challenge I've challenged the quarterbacks to do. This is O'Connell talking. Control what you can, which is your preparation, O'Connell said. How detailed can you be? Can you stack good periods of practice together, good days together? And before you know it, you're looking up, and it's not about the camp you've had, but it's about your readiness to help the Minnesota Vikings win. And, of course, O'Connell would be such a fantastic, C-suite executive. Well, he just talks in, motivational cliches, but it is true. And it's not about... The thing about quarterbacks, too, is that you can't get too high, you can't get too low. And O'Connell's talked about that's what he really likes about J.J. McCarthy. Now, Darnold has had a tendency to get a little bit low, but also he's had a lot of low around him during his much varied career. But I think that, Darnold's a guy where... remember, after Darnold's redshirt freshman season at USC, he was the cat's ass. He was projected number 1 overall pick. He had a down redshirt sophomore season, but it was still the number 3 overall pick in 2018. So again, he's got that pedigree. People believed in him, and he's got that potential in there somewhere. I just don't believe that the Jets and the Panthers have completely beat it out of him. I would just absolutely hate to see that. And then continued with McCarthy. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, because they're not hiding him. McCarthy said he spent the spring focused on improvements more than competing with Darnold, Mullins, and Hall. Close observers have noticed some strong throws, including a dart last week to receiver Trent Sherfield on the final day of mandatory minicamp, as well as some that bounced in front of receivers or sailed over their heads. Now, arm strength, accuracy has never been an issue with McCarthy, but consistency at the pro level, it's gonna take a while. And he was amazing in the pro game in a pro style system, and a lot of things that he was asked to do at Michigan, a lot of play action, a lot of on center, a lot of boot action, a lot of throwing over the middle. I mean, yeah, that's going to translate to the NFL, but yeah, the NFL is the NFL, man. McCarthy said he understands growth is not a straight line. Again, what's the deal with all these cliches? I mean, these guys need to write like a motivational book or just have AI write it for them. He added, it goes up, it goes down, blah, 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 blah. Just attacking every day with a growth mindset, and it's been doing me well so far. Asked whether that makes it easier to accept mistakes he has made, McCarthy said, quote, I definitely get down on myself just being the perfectionist that I am, but you have to accept it. They're inevitable. Failure is inevitable in sports. You've just got to learn from them and learn from those little dips. And not be attached to them emotionally. That's what I've been working on. And yeah, I do think that it is going to be fun watching things play out in a couple of weeks. Where, I mean, Darnold's obviously going to be cracking with the ones. You know, Justin Jefferson's going to be out there too. It's going to be the first time that they're really going to have a chance to work together. I mean, they had 3 days of mandatory minicamp, and that's it. But again, I love the future. Both things can be true at once. You can love the future of McCarthy, and you can love this season for Darnold. And as we said ad nauseum, the best possible scenario for the Vikings, absent JJ McCarthy having a historic rookie season, is Darnold being the guy, operating the offense, winning games, double-digit wins, maybe wild card, maybe pushing for the division, and the Vikings have a great showing, and Darnold looks good, man. And the Vikings, again, good problem to have. Tough decision. Franchise Darnold, give him a small extension, or tag and trade him, get some draft pick windfall, and then roll with McCarthy. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm not freaking out. It's like, oh, well, JJ is still with the threes. I think it's by design. Because McCarthy could have a stunning training camp working with the twos and the threes, look really good in preseason, and still open the season as quarterback 3. Right, because it's all a part of the plan. Where if he's not the opening day starter, I mean, maybe they just want to shelve him. Maybe they're fine having him be being emergency QB3 and having Mullins as a backup quarterback. I mean, obviously O'Connell has comfort with Mullins, but we'll see. But again, this is like the only legitimate training camp quarterback competition, even though it's not like really a 50-50 proposition. But again, very good problem to have where you have two guys that are both good as opposed to having two guys that are both mid. Anyways, your thoughts are Darnold and JJ McCarthy. Let us know in the comment section below. You guys are the best you ever do. Mac, Skull, production value.